Welcome to Luxury and Black. I'm your host, Sherry Tisdale. And as always, we're so excited to chat with you and keep you abreast of all things fashion and what's happening in the world of luxury and Black. Excited about today's show. Joining us, who's been roaming and roving, styling and profiling, works as one of my favorite co-hosts, Lonnie McQuarters, who is an incredible fashion stylist and producer. He will be joining me today, and we are going to be talking all things fashion. He's going to give us all the tea on his travels. He was abroad, and he's come back and now producing one of the hottest events here in my neck of the woods in Oklahoma. We're getting ready for our Juneteenth Festival. And they kick off with an incredible fashion show that he will be producing. So excited to chat with him and get all the information and details on that. So stay locked in. Lonnie will be joining us shortly. But once you take a step back in reflection in time, but first, before I do that, I want to say if this is your first time tuning in to Luxury and Black, I want to say thank you. We certainly appreciate you. And we are a platform designed to amplify the voices of our Black creators and designers and to celebrate Black excellence, which is in our everyday lives. And our goal is really to keep this conversation going on what living in Black luxury of what that looks like. So we greatly appreciate you bringing in and supporting us, and we hope that you will continue to do so. One of my favorite newest episodes, is what I call in review. And I love going back and reflecting upon some of the greats that has helped me are the reason why we're doing what we're doing today because of the shoulders we stand upon. And we have had so many phenomenal Black designers throughout for decades, and certainly enjoy being able to share with you some of those great inspirations. What we're talking about today, if you've been watching any of Black our visuals within the view this week, we are saluting and celebrating the life of one of America's phenomenal, really truly fantastic designers. And his name is Patrick Elliott. And he was fashion industry by storm in the 1980s. And it was just phenomenal what he was able to do. He was born in Mississippi, always had a passion for fashion, inspired by his grandmother and the women in his life. He just had vibrant colors, really embraced his culture and his upbringing and how he infused his designs and his style was just really breathtaking. He went on to leave Mississippi, went on to Atlanta, ultimately to New York. One of my favorite was my mentor, international supermodel Pat Cleveland, who really encouraged him to take his talents and go to Paris. And he did that. And it was in Paris that his creativity just completely shined. And he became a phenomenon on the scene. And his greatest success really held out of Paris, where he became the first American, not just African American, but American member of the Chambre Syndicale du Prêt-à-Porter, which is the governing body of the prestigious French ready-to-wear industry, which is a phenomenon. His clothes were picked up by Henry Bendigo, Bloomingdale's Bergdorf Goodman. His celebrities such as Cicely Tyson, Betty Davis, Royce Jones, to name a few, were a huge favorite of his. As of recent date, you will actually, if you peruse some of the socials, you will even see Beyonce wearing one of his distinct designs, which was absolutely phenomenal. And Patrick Kelly was just a breath of fresh air with his energy, his excitement, his passion for making clothes. And he said his whole purpose was for he wanted his clothing to reflect and make people smile, and that he did. He was just had major collections that ran from 1985 until 1990, which when he left this earth, he was only 35 years old, but in such a short time, his presence was definitely noted and well known on the scene. And to who says it best was Andre Leon Talley. He said Patrick Kelly, in his short 35 years, lived to be the only Black fashion designer to turn Paris upside down, inside out, on its vulnerable fashion shoulders. His meteoric rise in the world of ready-to-wear fashion and his couture collections have earned him a significant place in fashion history. And we today, as always, love saluting the phenomenal talent that has been before us, that's with us today, and still moving forward. So, in review, Luxury Black, we salute and really applaud the great Patrick Kelly. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I'm so excited to have my guy back on with us today. We'll be chatting with none other, Lonnie McQuarters. Stay tuned. And we're back, and happy to have with us Lonnie McQuarters. Hey, Lonnie.
Hello. How are you?
My fave.
Aw,
Where have you been?
where have I been? Gosh, I haven't been
Got it.
right. But since we talked last, I guess, gosh, did we chat when I got back from Paris?
Oh, so
Okay,
you got
so
to feel it all.
yes, I got a chance to take a trip over to London, and I was able to assist my friend and consult my friend Kimberly Nicole, who's an amazing artist, one of her stylists. So we actually kind of reframed it this year because she styles herself mostly, but she calls me or FaceTimes me and consults with me. But I was able to get a chance to get over to London and consult with her for this is her third year hosting the Brit Music Awards. And
Wow.
so, yeah, it's a really good show. They have a dinner prior to the show filled with lots of variety acts and it's like a variety show. And then there's dinner served, and then they go see the Brit Awards just kind of like around the corner in the same venue. And then they come back for the after party. And so I was able to get her dressed, get her looks steamed and ready for her changes. I think she did 3 different changes, and then she had a red carpet look. And yeah, we had a good time. It was just good to be back in the motion and the just in the umbrella of things when it comes to entertainment and fashion. It's just good for me to if I haven't worked in it in a while, to get back in it and to remind myself of who I am.
Exactly. That is definitely your element. We were seeing some of your looks while you were there. It looked
so
like you were having an amazing time.
Yeah, when you get to or just Europe in general, I think all fashion rules are off, and almost the same as New York, but I kind of take it a little bit further. I'm a little bit more free in Europe. You don't get as many looks like who are you, or you're not kind of like stared at for being you.
Right.
You're amongst other people who also have a look or have something unique about them, and so it's almost like you being around your people that you know.
Oh, absolutely. Because you went from London and you went to
Paris. Yes. So it's my first time taking the train from London to Paris, which is the best route. It comes out to be about the same amount as flying. Whenever you're in Europe, the flights are pretty cheap. You can get, to another country for 40, 50 pounds. But getting to the airport with your luggage and then taking it,
right.
so you can take the train from the St. Pancras station in London, and it lets you off in like the central Paris. And so you're basically just going from center to center.
Wow.
The
Okay.
train has food and a bar and Wi-Fi. So, you're able to stay occupied, but it's a pretty quick ride. It's an hour and a half, and, it goes by pretty quick.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
Yeah.
And what were some of the hot fashions? What were some of the things you were saying that you were clocking in or bringing that?
So yeah, I just like to street watch, and even if you're in
So
a
do I.
taxi, yeah, like if just pay attention to your surroundings, and I just love to just see the street fashion there. It's always as if someone's going somewhere, but that's just they're probably going to work or going to
Just
have tea or coffee, and so it's just kind of a normal thing to just kind of be dressed and look a certain way when you're out in public. I think
were
that's
there any particular looks that really spoke to you or that just really are ignited that you knew you were going to incorporate or bring back?
it was a lot of like color, a lot of monochromatic color, but like bright greens and bright blues. I remember being in the taxi in Paris I think we were taking the Uber to the Champs-Élysées, and then we went to the museum, where they actually later had their first Fashion Week event, which we did not know. We knew Fashion Week had started that day, but gosh, we were it was so much going on. Like I think I was on Instagram and I saw where Doechii, it was a Valentino event, and Doechii was like, she performed at it, and I was like, I was like talking to my friend Kimberly. I was like, we were just over there about 3 hours ago. Like,
Wow.
the Valentino opening party and whatever. So it was kind of fun and funny at the same time. But yeah, we just like basically it's my first time really just walking. We walked from our hotel to the Eiffel Tower, and I'm used to walking, and so is Kimberly, but we could see the tower, the Eiffel Tower from where we were. She was like, I am not walking there. I was like, and I said that in my mind, I was like, watch, I'm gonna get you to walk. So we just end up walking over a bridge, stopping at a cafe, stopping here to get a drink. And then by the time we, like we looked up, okay, we're just right around the corner from the Eiffel Tower. So I was like, I told you.
We are here.
Yeah. So, but.
And how long were you there? Because I was like, he's not coming back. He's going to get there.
I did like 3 days in London and 2 days in Paris.
Okay. Okay.
It was an appropriate amount of time. It was my second time in Paris. First time I got a chance to go to the Rolling Stones concert and see my friend Sasha Allen perform with Mick Jagger. And so it was a different experience because I was kind of like, with them, but I wanted to be on the streets and walk around and smell the air and all that. Yep.
And just feel it. Oh, I bet. Was it hard to come back?
It's always hard to come back. I actually love to live in London. And I plan on going back maybe next month and stay for a few weeks. It's just very easy. You almost feel like you're kind of like just in a bit more of like a cleaner New York. So it's just easy to get around, and you get some really good brands. The way the Londoners dress is very cool because you'll get some grungy rock, real good grunge 80s looks, and a lot of some of London is still kind of in that grunge scene where you get a lot of graffiti, you get a lot of just like pop art and color and stuff. So that part of London, you kind of have to walk around and see. It's not all glitz and glamour, the Big Ben and the palace and stuff. So yeah.
So what did you store up? Because I know coming back, you had several assignments that I know that you were preparing for and producing the upcoming event in our neck of the woods, Tulsa Juneteenth.
Yes. I'm so happy that it's the second year that the fashion show was implemented, because we grew up here in Tulsa, and
yes,
seeing you, and we had to kind of go outside the city to kind of get some of that fashion. The Ebony Fashion Fair did come to Tulsa back then. And
it seemed like it was,
yeah,
so it came, but it was like, where does this where does this live? But it was such a breath of fresh air. So true.
Right. And I think just kind of trying to pick back up on that and really, bringing what like my experiences, over the past 25 years outside of Tulsa back to Tulsa and just really, gosh, just nurturing our home.
Right.
The show last year was amazing. We had it at the downtown on Greenwood and having it on the rooftop, and it was great. It's kind of set the bar and the tone for what we are trying to do. I was thankful to get connected with Lauren, who's over the events with Tulsa Juneteenth, because she also had the idea of implementing
fashion. Yeah. She had mentioned that.
Because you're nonprofit.
We talked. Yeah.
And just trying to get sponsors, and the talent is here, and that's kind of where my expertise is, kind of like scouting the models and and working with them and kind of showing them the way to go about how to start their career, even if it's acting or modeling. Mm-hmm. And having this platform is a good way to curate the talent, collect the talent, find the talent, give them a platform, and they're giving them the opportunity. A lot of people that want to design, just don't know where to start.
Absolutely. And you do have such an eye for that, for as you said, scouting and producing shows, styling the gambit. How do you attract your talent, or how do you decipher, when what things I guess I'm asking that do you look for that you need to pull off what you want to do?
And you mean as far as like the show,
the production, when you're creating and putting your production, because the theme this year is legacy and luxury. Mm-hmm. And I've been in some of the meetings and I know it's going to be amazing. I'm telling you, and you don't want to miss it. But when you're, because you're so creative, when you are, putting together your concept of the type of show you want to see produced, how do you then plug in your talent?
So, gosh, it's an ongoing machine. I kind of start early with models, and the models even approach me before the shows even start casting. Hey, are you doing another show? So it's kind of something that they're looking forward to, which is great because the work now is great. So the talent, is here, and I actually on the other side with the model building portfolios, I'm getting back to where I'm also working on building their books and just kind of showing them, hey, you need these type of shots if you want to get an agency. And I actually booked Jordan. He's in our show.
Okay.
Actually booked him on 2 jobs this past month. He's in a magazine with Trey Thaxton. He's in the Greenwood Ave.
Okay.
And he's also doing a commercial next week with the Oklahoma, I forget which company, but he's doing a commercial, and it's his first commercial. And so the talent is here. I start with, just genuine people that actually want to do things. I talked with Jordan last year and met with his mom, and he's really passionate about modeling. And so with having the models being so passionate, they're willing to kind of be here to do whatever. So I then go to like what music is great. This year I kind of get a feel for what music. Let's see. I also will be having a special performing artist during the show. So I'm kind of taking the elements from, do you remember like Rip the Runway on BET?
I do. I love it. Yes.
Performing.
Yeah.
That was great to watch on TV. Like that was the first type of like fashion show that you could actually watch on TV. And it was great that it was on BET. So having a little bit of that element, I also had some ideas last year that I wasn't able to pull off being of the location. And so this year I'm able to actually pull off some of those exciting bits that will be a part of the show that I will not reveal. You have to come and
Okay.
the
Okay.
show. You can visit
Seeing is believing. Yes.
to visit the Instagram Tulsa Juneteenth and purchase your tickets. We still have some VIP tickets available. So yeah, we have 6 designers this year. We'll be using Lamique. She's our makeup sponsor. You should
Awesome.
visit her store down at the Box Yard, and also the Shade Room will be providing shades and
Oh, come on. Yes.
for accessories. We have Khalil out of Oklahoma City. He's a great new designer. He has some fun stuff up his sleeve. Also, Landy from Oklahoma City. You'll have me, and I will be doing some. Basically, I guess my collection, and I've been kind of reflecting on it. It's reconstruction, and it's, I guess, a play on Tulsa. You know how we're reconstructing this city.
Okay. Okay.
And so I kind of made that correlation yesterday. And so I think this collection will be a part of kind of reconstruction, and you'll get to see some very dandy looks, some very masculine looks on women.
I love that.
Plaids, a lot of you'll see some tailcoats. We love a good tailcoat.
Yes. Yes, I love a coat. Yes.
Playing around with some coats and tailoring. So I'm practicing and get a little better and better at sewing as you know, every day. I remember taking a sewing class at Carver Middle School, and I still remember everything that Miss Coleman taught me.
I love that. You know, this when you can reflect back and
I remember everything. It's insane.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I'm excited. I love that your collection is when you say, as you're reflecting and with that, and that you're cultivating what, you know, because you have such a good, as I said, a great visual eye. And so many people, often ask, like, what stylist is Oklahoma? What, because we're way more than just cowboy boots and hats, you know.
Yeah.
And it is kind of really a real eclectic city. And I love that you're
I'm really just
embracing that.
I met so many new people here, with the programs, but people are still moving here outside of the Tulsa remote with other industries. And Tulsa's really becoming an artsy scene. And I would love to hone in and us make it some sort of fashion, with NYU having a base here.
Right.
I'm not sure what programs they offer, but I hope that maybe they could even expand one day and even have a fashion department, or maybe FIT could follow its lead and have a fashion mini institute here,
Exactly, because we're truly the center of the universe. And, it is kind of really, as you said, it's a hub that's really bubbling and boiling. So it is a great time to be here and be a part of the beginning of the process, and that's what's so exciting. One, I'm just so excited that, you've come back. I don't know how long we'll be able to hold on to you, but you've come back and really sharing all of the things that you've acquired and learned, and because you stout so many shows from them Fashion Week and celebrity stars traveling the globe, and to hone that in and bring it back here and begin to pour into, the creativity that is happening here, provide that platform, because that's all people need, platform.
Yep. Yep.
Well, this is so exciting. I've shared Lauren. We had Lauren on the show last week, who is the executive director of Tulsa Juneteenth, and we were both, applauding last year. But it's really exciting to me this year and I can't wait to see what you're going to do with this. I really can't. That's going to be on the street.
Yeah,
I love a street fashion show, but I am looking forward to that because it's going to be on historic Greenwood across Vernon, which was one of the remaining buildings that survived the race riot. So it has some historical components.
Right. It's almost as if, it is where the slaves were freed, right? We were freed.
Right.
And Tulsa was the first hub where that exploded. And, it's as if that was the first kind of release and building of something. And then having that destroyed, it's almost like a double whammy for us here in Tulsa.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
But I'm feeling like, because we had the rebirth and resurgence because we are very resilient and for, in Tulsa on Greenwood to rebuild itself and even be greater than it was and remaining the Black Wall Street holding that title for forever. But then to see, so it just seems, it's just very poetic to me that, this show and the theme, I love the theme, luxury, legacy and luxury, but just kind of really reminding ourselves. And it's almost like a celebration, bringing back what was, just reminding people, and we can really celebrate that and see that. And so I am so excited to see the show. I just know there's going to be a lot of flavor. I'm telling you, you don't want to miss it. You won't miss it.
Yeah, piggybacking off of the theme and, the legacy and luxury, of course, we wanted to, step it up a little bit, make it more, high end this year. But yeah, the legacy part of it, I really love the fact that I have in the show, Mr. Estes and
okay,
modeling, and then I'm trying to get his granddaughter who models as well. And so it's as if, you have a family of talent, and that's what legacy, means to me.
And that is so phenomenal. I mean, and even in yourself, you're a stylist, you design, but then you also have, is it your cousin that also designs?
Cousin.
Is well, that was a part of last year's show. I don't know if he's in again this year, but just to see, but the creativity that just surrounds in your family, but to see that, and we just have different pockets of that. It's really happening here, but to see that all come together and be able to be showcased is really awesome.
And
it's very surprising to people. It's not what you think you would, I mean, it's edgy. It gives you all the feels. It absolutely does that. And I love the fact that it's not just Tulsa. You embrace all of Oklahoma. So you have designers and stylists. And know you're the other creative director, Landis, is out of Oklahoma City. How do you coordinate that? How is that very difficult?
It's been very great. Like working with Landy, we actually we could almost finish each other's sentences, and it's almost like, okay,
I love it.
I love it. With Lauren, like some of the creative things just kind of fall into place. It's never, if a problem arises, we solve it. It's nothing, crazy. We all are doing this for the state of Oklahoma, for our cities, for our kids, for our nieces and nephews. And so we're not making money off of this. We're creating this space and, this community. So of course, we're going to have challenges, but we get through them. And, we have technology. So we FaceTime, we chat and drive down quite often. And we made it work last year.
And you did
make it work here. Yeah. Yeah.
And, and it only gets better, right? It only keeps going up. And I love that you state that, Lonnie, because having watched last year and been around and being a part of kind of on the committee and watching this year, I love the cohesiveness. And I'm so glad you stated that because, I love shattering myths, that we can't work together,
Yeah.
that it's a lot of,
Uh-huh.
confrontation, because it's not. And when you have, creative people that can come together and really ignite and bring together something that's so powerful,
Yeah.
it's just absolutely nothing like it. And so it is a great time to really come out and support all of the talent.
Yeah.
As you said, you've got artists coming in, so you're going to get so many different elements.
Yep.
And because on the street, I'm just trying to map. We're going to try to pick you a little bit. So can you give us any little hints? Like what are we going to feel when we on the streets of
You're
Greenwood?
gonna feel like you're on the streets of Tulsa. You're gonna probably feel like you might be going to church. You're gonna feel like you're probably at a concert. You're gonna feel like you're headed to a red carpet event. You're gonna feel the heartbeat of the models. You're gonna see the energy the passion that they have, and it's just, and I would guess they new faces of Oklahoma, new talent. We're ever growing, ever so changing, and it's good to, showcase it.
I love that. I love the heartbeat. So it's giving me feels that you want to, come, you want to dress to, be fashionable, come in your, yes, be in it.
Yes. That was my most favorite thing to do when I lived in New York, was go to a fashion show. Like it was a thing. Like I would wake up really early, try to, put together the best look I could, pack a little bag, maybe my little Louis, have my battery charger in there, some water, some snacks, get on the train, pull the schedule up. Because back then, I guess, you probably could still get it. It's this book called Modem, MODEM, Modem Online. I don't know if you could check that out. It's still around. It's probably my little hub. I go to this website for fashion advice on what designers, like more advice of like where the like PR companies are. It'll give you that information. It shows you trade shows, which trade shows were something that I used to do at my very, very early ages, is working in film and fashion. I go to trade shows and meet the designers face to face, and I said they'd send me clothes for projects, or, let me borrow things for red carpets, or, movies or whatever. And so that Modem Online actually was just kind of like a little directory of pretty much everything fashion, and it's global. So you'll get the fashion schedule for Paris Fashion Week. You get all Fashion Week. So it's always on, always telling you, it's always informative and always updating. But yeah,
that is way so cool.
Yeah.
And Lonnie, talk about that, because you do costume designing too. So coming back from, you've been in New York. You've been in the thick of the fashion industry and all the hubs, but coming back here, what has ignited and excited you to stay, which is exciting in itself. But, what do you see happening that you feel like, you want to be a part of it?
So what I know what will be happening is that I will be bridging a gap with models and agencies, Tulsa and New York, and hopefully other cities. I want to one day have I will have a model home or apartment in New York. And I want it to be available for any models in Tulsa that want to go to castings, or, and it's something I've been thinking about. And so I'm starting to work towards that. I am going to New York next month. I'll have access to a place for a year in New York. So I'll be coming back and forth. And during that time, I hope that I could build something that I can actually kind of, start and have as an opportunity, or, an outlet for talent here in Tulsa or Oklahoma, who don't have a connection or someone to advise them on things, in New York.
And that's so important. Oh my gosh, because having done that many years ago, but you're truly like a fish out of water. So understanding and being able to go and navigate the culture there and really step into it. I mean, if you have mentorship and,
Yeah.
that is everything. So I applaud you for doing that. That is really cool.
So I was able to be like, so I doubled as, I worked for RW. He's play for the New York Football Giants. I was his personal assistant. So when he was off season, I wasn't, I wasn't working. So that's when I would, work in film due to fashion. And I would, at the time, when he got traded, I moved him up to New York. And the same time, my best friend at the time, Nick from America's Next Top Model, she had just moved to New York and she was with an agency, and I stayed with her in a studio room.
Right.
And I literally helped her. We went to castings. I helped her get ready, make sure she had her book. I just make sure she looked okay. Hey, what's your next casting? Make sure we get on the right train. I was kind of with her on foot at those castings, at those cattle calls. So I saw those models with the books, and I'm not sure if they're more digital now, but being able to tell those stories and show that you have to get out and hit the ground running every day.
That payment, that is the name of the game. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
And I love that because, it's so different here. Oklahoma it's so nice. It's such a different world here, and people are a lot friendlier, but it's nothing like knowing if you have really what it takes to make it in the industry is when you step into an avenue, when you step into New York, but which is imperative because you've got to have grit. That's for sure.
Yeah.
You got to have, and hustle. You've got to make it happen. And so, but I love the fact that you're developing a safe place, because I do think that is so imperative. That oftentimes, particularly for us, people of color, we don't always have those kind of environments, to be able to come and regroup and actually get, like you said, you've been there, you've done that, you've been a part of that. So you're able to provide kind of a roadmap. Now, what you do with it is on the individual, but you're providing the resources and a safe place to be able to really build upon. And I think that is amazing.
So it's something that's needed, I think, for
anywhere,
in any industry. We could go as far as music artists that are here. Let's say if Brand J, who's amazing. Was able to go and network, in London for a week, and
she probably,
that's just one artist, that, she might even have connections there, but I'm just giving an example, maybe a place in Atlanta where you can go and record.
And I love that because so with what you're doing, is that going to expand beyond just models, or will you be working with actors and recording artists as well?
Or because logical for people, young adults from Tulsa, to be able to fly there and be there, so they need a little help.
That's the name of the game. That is so true. We all need a little help. So, and I want to ask you, while I'm thinking of it, for those because the fashion show is going to be for Juneteenth. It's Saturday, June the 14th. At what time again? And again, where can people get tickets?
So we'll begin at 7 p.m. Saturday, June 14th. We're kicking off Juneteenth, so it'll be the weekend before the festivities. You can visit Tulsa Juneteenth on Instagram and Facebook and get your tickets. There's VIP tickets available. The show will be right in front of Vernon AME Church, right on Greenwood. So you can park. You'll be able to park up and down Greenwood. We'll have the street blocked off. The backdrop, the other side of the show will end at the underpassage.
Okay.
The underpassage where the highway, what they put right through Greenwood. We're going to use that as a backstage and staging with everything.
Cool.
And the show will go down the street towards Vernon. And yeah, it'll be kind of like a street party. And we will be having an after party. We will disclose that a little later. It will be at Silk Salon. If you haven't been there yet, it's a new salon.
Experience, yes.
And the decor alone.
That part.
You kind of want to go. Yeah.
You want to go.
Get my hair done, and I don't have any.
Right. You just want the experience.
Yeah, so
yes.
Go get my scalp shampoo. I just that can also add to the luxury part about it. The show is a very nice salon. So.
That's going to be, as I said, an amazing event. And I was going to ask, so you gave that answer to that question, for those like why they want to have that VIP experience, what they can expect out of that. Of course, you get prime seating, but the after party experience is going to be everything.
Right. You get to chat with the designers up and close, and the models, and the makeup artist Ty Mason. She's gonna be around, pick her brain. So yeah, it's a great way to network, since we have to network with each other. I love that. That line, I would always take that from Issa Rae, and how we need to network with our peers. And
it's so true. And and to network and celebrate one another. That is just what it's truly about. And the essence and epitome of what Juneteenth, what it is. It is a celebration. And this is absolutely a great way to ignite and kick it off. Well, and after Juneteenth, what's in the works? I hear you said several times you're going to be kind of in and out of the city. What other projects do you have that you'll be doing here?
So here I don't have anything on the calendar as of yet. As I will be working with some, the models here, kind of continuing to book them on things and building their books. So I'll be concentrating on that, because when I get to New York, I want to have a Rolodex of models that I can kind of present to some agents when I meet them, and then kind of get the ball, the conversation started. I need to go and reconnect with agents that I know still are in the business, and figure out what agency they've moved on to, or if they've started their own. Chat with some of the models that I kind of worked with and started their careers back when I was in New York, and, pick their brains and see what's going on. Yeah.
I love that. Now, and for aspiring creators, and particularly models, or even stylists who are listening, or like who know I want to be a part of this, what are some of the things that they would need to do just to be seen first by you, and that they would need to prepare themselves for?
You just mean as far as like if they want to volunteer or help?
No. Well, as far as like if they would, I would like to be one of the models that you would represent. That I would like to be, be able to take part and think they're ready to make that move.
Mm-hmm. Just start off with sending. You can find me. My name is Lonnie, the Style Chef, on Instagram. You can Instagram me, DM me, send me headshots that you have already. They could be taken with your iPhone. Those are also great ways as a start. Clean iPhone photo with a clean, clear white background. no jewelry, no disturbing wardrobe, just a plain t-shirt, plain background, face, headshot, profile shots, 3/4 shots, full length shots, and then we get the ball going.
That's really truly amazing. And I'm listening and going, how times have just so changed. So you don't have to go out and have your book, your lookbook. You don't really, everything's digital now, or?
Everything's digital, but it's always good to also still have your book.
Okay. When you get to the city, is that still a thing that you need to have your portfolio in hand? Do you still do that now?
So each casting, is different. So,
Okay.
and that would be one thing that, just kind of communicate something that I would communicate is learning the industry and just always being prepared, so having your digital on, a jump drive, also having your physical book, if it's requested. A lot of times you'll get to a place to where you'll get direct booked. So you won't even, it'll be where I call you and be like, hey, you just got booked on this job. This is the time, this is the rate, boom, 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 and they just show up. So that's the kind of like the level,
Wow.
where you want
to be.
Yeah. My friend Sasha Payton, who just moved back from Italy, I told her, she should have been mine when we used to work together. She was like, okay, I'm going to go to the agencies when she got to Paris, and she never did. And she got scouted on the train. And then 6 months later, she has a big billboard in Italy. Okay. So she gets back to New York. She's from New York. She was never it was insane because she never got scouted with any of the agencies while being here in New York. And it's almost, she had to go to Paris and
get discovered. Okay.
Get with the agency in Italy also. And then New York picks her up, So there's also other ways about, getting your career started. There's different markets, catalog is very popular in Chicago. I know models that actually flew from New York to go work in Chicago for JCPenney's or Belk or, some of those big brands that they're based, and they should do all that in Chicago. So Chicago's a great, link missing piece of the model industry as well.
Because print is always, you get into there's so many different facets of modeling outside of that you can garner and, get into to start your career. So I really, really love that. I love you hearing what you're doing in that space, and providing those avenues, to learn how to navigate, help people to learn how to navigate where they're going and actually have a sounding board, to make sure they're making the right steps, connecting with the right people, because how different with that and with what you're offering, because with the internet and AI and digital and influencers, that space as a whole how different is it to really, work with your client? Because sometimes you would think they would feel like they could do a lot on their own. I can become a YouTube celebrity, if I push it that way, or Instagram. Is that an avenue? Do you work in that space, or do you try to cultivate?
I don't. So that's a new space where there are some agencies that want your Instagram. They want that influencer, background. So there are agencies that support that, which I've seen, and they'll ask for the model's Instagram when you're doing your application. As far as they probably use that, to see what you really look like or see who you are. Like, do we want to represent you? So that's when that conversation goes about being a person that, like, now a client to this agency. So you're now representing them. So you have to now be careful about, what you post and is it appropriate? You have to think of the bigger picture. You never know who's watching you. Here in Tulsa, we have Lamique. She might see some girl doing something that she might have wanted in her campaign that she might not have, so I think that goes to your public image. And that plays a part of it. Yeah.
That's really great information, because I've often, just watching, because that's what I do, looking at fashion and who's doing what, and really learning that curve that so many people are building their careers based off of the number of followers they have. So I was wondering, with what you're doing, how important that is. Like, do you have to come in with, already a following to even get
to have just a blank slate and start from like nothing?
Wow.
You have multiple, unless you've been shooting and your Instagram is full of like your portfolio,
Okay.
to where you can see your growth. And that was kind of what I think what they want to see is, your development.
Right.
You strip, down like and I mean, as far as like no makeup and
right.
no heavy styling, something basic and clean so they can see you as that blank canvas for whatever client.
That is, I love that. And wanted to put that out because, I'm sure that the process is very, it's the same, but yet different, because the tools to get into the market are different, but some of the processes are the same. So that is really, really awesome and great information. Well, I know we're getting close to a close. I'm so excited, and I know you're going to be in and out, but we've talked, and we're going to try to make sure we are able to snatch you up at least once a month and hear what you're doing and where you are, and, so people can stay connected with you and we can continue to pick your brain, because you're always doing the best. So, I applaud that. So excited about that part. But again, before we go, one more time, you don't want to miss the event, June 14th, Legacy and Luxury Fashion Show. Lonnie is the fashion producer. It's going to be an incredible show. Again, Lonnie, one more time, where can people go to get tickets?
Tulsa Juneteenth. You could go to Instagram or Facebook, buy your VIP ticket for the full experience. The show will be Saturday, June 14th at 7 p.m. And I'll see you there.
And you don't want to miss it. It's going to be amazing. Well, Lonnie, thank you so much. I know you styling and designing and doing all the things to get ready, but I will see
as we speak.
You're working. I know you are. I love it. Well, I can't wait to see you soon, and so excited again, and we look forward to having you back.
All right. I'll see you soon.
All right. You too. Ciao.